G'day, my name's Harvey and I'm here to help you out with a few questions with regard to hair loss. A few people asked me these questions, so I thought I might provide some of this information. I've done a fair bit of legwork on this sort of stuff, so hopefully you find it interesting. Please subscribe, because I'm using the subscription numbers to show me that people are interested and get me motivated to provide some more information. Hopefully it's in a usable format, and hopefully it's useful to you. What I want to talk about today is the definition of hair regrowth. You would think, okay, I've got that defined very easily. I've looked at these pictures and I see a guy who's got balding and he's got hair regrown. That's regrowth, yes. Okay, I go somewhere, I pay for something, I get hair regrown. Seems very simple, but a lot of people come to question that and find out that there's a little bit more to it. Quite often when I've seen people, in particular one case, the last one that I talked to, a fellow who spent $16,000 and was very disappointed. He had not seen, in his opinion, any regrowth whatsoever, yet the providers said, no, we've regrown hair, and it becomes a messy situation where you're out of pocket and you're left sort of high and dry. So hopefully if you've seen this, you'll be able to make some informed decisions, ask some informed questions, and it'll save you a bit of money. What I'm going to do is first, I'm going to use this table over here. It's got hair count up on this vertical axis, and that means that if someone looked at your head, took a little area, let's say 1 centimetre squared, counted the number of hairs that are there, then in my particular case, for our example, we're going to say there's 100 hairs there. It's a nice round figure, and this particular area, we've got 100 hairs. So we can go back and measure that and count the number of hairs in time to see whether you've regrown hair. It seems simple. This is the definition, the first definition of regrowth is the way I took it, and I think most people take it. And that is, as if you had 100 hairs, we know that those 100 hairs in that particular area, you're losing some hairs, you're gaining. They're constantly growing and turning over in that particular area. But on average, you've got 100 hairs there most of the time. So you're losing some, gaining some, you've got 100 hairs there. So over this whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year period, and it would go on, if I've got healthy hair, I would have this constant 100. Now, the definition I would think, and I think most people do think, is that if I go and I start doing something, I've got 100 hairs here, I'm going to be up on this positive side. I'm going to be regrowing hair somewhere up here in the positive. What happens, and this is our second definition, I sort of call it a second definition, because what happens is when you approach people, let's say a clinic or your doctor or whoever, you're actually losing your hair. You've got hair loss. So what is happening is you may have lost hair before you've got to this stage. That's why you're seeking some assistance. But let's say you're here at point 0 in time. A year on, you're actually on a downward track. You're losing your hair, you're going to end up losing more hair. So let's say here in 1 year's time, from our 100 hairs, here we might have lost 10 hairs. So we've lost 10 hairs there. So we're now down to 90 hairs. In another year after that, we'll be down to 80, 70, and so on. And in this particular case, we've got it that in 5 years' time, we've lost our hair completely and we've gone bald in that particular area. Now, with studies, with medications that you can get, prescription and non-prescription and things like that, some of these do have results, and typically, I'll draw this here, typically it's about that 1 year period. It's just to generalise, normally it's about a 1 year period, you may have an increase in your hair count. I don't want to say, a lot of these photos you see people going up here, but unfortunately on average some people with some of these medications that you take. Some don't respond, but the average person who responds might gain 3 to 5 hairs in this year period. Somewhere around there, if you're doing everything right, you might have something where 3 to 5 hairs. We'll call it 4 hairs, somewhere in between. Problem is if you're already thinking, is that 4 hairs to 104 isn't a great deal. So there's our biggest shock to start off with. It's not doubling your hair and things like that. But what can happen is people say, oh, but in a year's time, so that I didn't experience any regrowth. What can happen is they're down here, let's say. So they're under the line, they've got from 100, they might be down to 95 or something like that in their hair count, but then what people will say, potentially, it depends on who they are, but there is a chance that they're going to say, well, you would have been here. You would have been down in this location here, which is, say 90 hairs instead of 100. We've got you, say, 95 hairs, therefore, here, you experience regrowth. That's where a bit of a debate comes in. Because they're saying, but we did regrow hair, you were going to be worse off because you did and you took whatever we provided or you paid for. You now have gained some hair. Yes, you're still looking worse than you did at this starting point in time, but we have regrown hair. Bang, we've done our job. When I see this, my first definition was disappointment. But when you look at this, you do see some logic behind it. You're losing hair, so anything that you get is a bonus. But you need to know that up front. So there's our two definitions. One is, the question is, am I going to get more hair than where I am now and where I'm starting at? That's the big thing. Am I going to get more hair than where I'm starting at? And that would be something you need to tie people down to, is because I want regrowth from where I'm at now. Or is the expectation that someone's fulfilled their obligation, even if you've lost hair, but you haven't lost as much as you were expecting to lose. So I can see the cases there. Very few people understand this before they go and do something. So hopefully this has helped you out. I will say that with most, if I just generalise, a lot of medications that are prescribed for hair loss, it's normally around this year period. Some people won't even get a response there in the positive. Some may get a bit more, and these are the ones that probably are the cases that are used to illustrate the benefits of the product. But usually there are some at that year. Normally you'll get, in some cases, a tapering down of that, and so you're losing hair, return to losing hair again. In some cases, with one of the products, it's not so much, so it's a more gradual taper, and another, with one of the other products, it's very much similar to following that same hair loss line. So there's sort of the medication things, but what you're getting is potentially a benefit, and that benefit is normally by delaying your hair loss by a year or so, and then you're back to where you are. What you've got to watch here is some of these things. If you don't take them anymore, you come back and you drop back down to this line. People don't tell you that. I'll probably talk about that in another video, but hopefully you found this informative. Please click on the subscribe button. Remember to ask questions about the hair growth. Is it going to be more hair than I've got right now, or when I start this intervention, medication, whatever it is, the procedure, or is it more hair from where I'm going to be in that future period in time? So hopefully that's helped you out, and look out for my videos. Thank you.